Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 38th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West, with Shaquille O'Neal, here for another exciting episode of TMG Takes the Field, the roughly weekly show where we talk about sports, mainly just football, but occasionally we will throw in other sports. Like today, breaking news in Major League Baseball, actually like a couple hours ago. I say a couple hours ago. I don't remember exactly when it was tonight. Alex Bregman, formerly of the Astros, just the Astros. Yeah, I'm ready to play with the Astros for a little bit. He is now a Red Sox. He signed looked like a 3-year, $120 million deal to go to Boston. So we are kind of at that point with Major League Baseball where we're seeing some free agent moves, some trades. Big free agent move for Boston. Alex Bregman is a Red Sox. Moving on to basketball. Anthony Davis made his Mavericks debut and injured his groin. This is a multi-week injury. No full timetable, just we know it's going to be a couple of weeks that he's out. With that, he is going to miss the All-Star game. So taking his place is Kyrie Irving, fellow teammate. All right, now that's it. That's all the extra sports. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the NFL. We did have a very exciting, or I found it a very exciting game Sunday. We had the Super Bowl. We had the Chiefs going for 3, taking on the Eagles, the team that started the three-peat, or it started the run of 3. Could they stop the Chiefs, or would the Chiefs start and end with the Eagles? And well, I'm wearing the shirt. I probably wouldn't be wearing the shirt if they lost. The Eagles are victorious, 40-22. They laid the smack down, 34 points before the Chiefs scored. Chiefs did not score until 34 seconds left in the third quarter, basically when the game was all said and done. Jalen Hurts, MVP, 221 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 72 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Devontae Smith with an amazing, I believe it was a 46-yard pass. 46-yard touchdown catch. A.J. Brown with a 12-yard touchdown catch. Cooper DeJean making his first NFL interception in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. He took it all the way for a touchdown on his birthday, just in the Super Bowl. It was plus on top of plus on top of plus. Zach Bond also had an interception. There were 6 sacks, I believe, 5 or 6 sacks. The Eagles played one of the best games for it in a Super Bowl. There's been a couple blowouts. This was up there. Granted, the Chiefs scored 22 points, but again, 22 points in the matter of a quarter. Really, when the game was done is when they started scoring. But congratulations, Philadelphia Eagles, on the amazing win. With that, we do unfortunately have some breaking news. Well, not breaking news. It broke Saturday. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, is no longer going to be a part of the team. He is going to be the new head coach in New Orleans next season. So, Tato, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
That was an ass whipping of the highest degree. I don't think I've really ever seen anything like it. It is unfortunate that those garbage time touchdowns will, in the future, make people go back and look at it and maybe think it wasn't as bad as it was. But I think that was the most lopsided Super Bowl of my lifetime. I would have to go back and genuinely watch the Seahawks Broncos to double check, but I circumstantially very, very similar to that game. But I really feel like Peyton did a little more than Mahomes did.
Yeah.
the first half. So for that, I will just in my memory, that was definitely the most lopsided Super Bowl. So congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you. One thing
always,
about that Super Bowl too, the Broncos Seahawks game is like it started out very anti-Broncos. The second play of the game was a snap well over Peyton's head that I think ended up being a safety. So Seahawks got the ball again immediately after, scored, and just very quickly. But again, there were a couple drives, that scoring drive. So definitely the first three quarters, biggest blowout we've ever seen in any Super Bowl. At one point, it was 34-0, which had all the makings of being the biggest blowout in Super Bowl history. But Eagles kind of stepped off the gas for a little bit, and then Mahomes was able to make a couple plays, really in garbage time. One thing though, my dad texted me. He was like, "Hey, congrats on the win!" And this was before the Devontae Smith touchdown. I'm like, "Yeah, I still don't feel good about it because the Chiefs are going to come back." And the second I said that, there was that 46-yard touchdown pass. And I'm like, I still don't really feel too good about this because I mean the biggest NFL comeback was 33 points. Super Bowl comeback was 25 points. But that would be the most Patrick Mahomes thing to do, to come back from even worse. But it didn't happen. So
there's some sort of story about a lady singing. I don't know.
yes, it wasn't a lady singing. It was Kendrick Lamar. He's a dude.
What a delight.
But with that, we now open the door to the 2025 NFL offseason. So I'm going to break down the draft order real quick. So at number 1, we have the Tennessee Titans. Number 2, the Cleveland Browns. 3, New York Giants. Number 4, the New England Patriots. 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars. 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. 7, the New York Jets. 8, the Carolina Panthers. 9, the New Orleans Saints. 10, the Chicago Bears. 11, the San Francisco 49ers. 12, the Dallas Cowboys. 13, the Miami Dolphins. 14, the Indianapolis Colts. 15, the Atlanta Falcons. 16, the Arizona Cardinals. 17, the Cincinnati Bengals. 18, the Seattle Seahawks. 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 20, the Denver Broncos. 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers. 22, the Los Angeles Chargers. 23, the Green Bay Packers. 24, the Minnesota Vikings. 25, the Houston Texans. 26, the LA Rams. 27, the Baltimore Ravens. 28, the Detroit Lions. 29, the Washington Commanders. 30, the Buffalo Bills. 31, the Kansas City Chiefs. And at number 32, the Philadelphia Eagles. That is your draft order, at least right now. We might see some trades. We might see some movements. But we will later on, a little bit closer to the draft, probably like the day before the draft, we'll have our actual mock drafts. Some trades will probably take place before that. But we do have some more news in this offseason. Several people demanding trades. A couple people have been told they will not be members of the team anymore. So the first one, the big news, Aaron Rodgers will not be a New York Jet next year. Tato, what are the odds he pulls a Brett Favre and goes to the Minnesota Vikings?
I mean, they exist. Like, other than the storyline that I've been beating since the first Jets rumors really started swirling and stuff like that, I'm like, or since the Packers divorce was obvious, I was like, he's gonna do the Favre and go to the Jets, because obviously at that point the Jets were quarterback needy, so it seemed obvious there too. And I do think he could come in depending on where JJ McCarthy is at with his recovery and stuff like that. And, who says no to 2 billion time MVP winner? He's got those, like, we're still like the NFL is indeed a what have you done for me lately kind of league, but his numbers weren't atrocious. Like the wins weren't there, but his numbers were fine.
Yeah.
And hypothetically, I think a Kevin O'Connell would be a good coach for him, and we'll see. Yeah, I think there's a non-zero shot that it could happen.
Yeah, it's a very low shot, but it's not zero. I did see probably the funniest thing ever. It was Aaron Rodgers highlight as a Jet player, and it's him running down with the American flag before he tore his Achilles. It's like that's all of his highlights. Because definitely this year, nowhere near as good as what anybody thought it would be, even after that Achilles injury. But any thoughts on where we might see Aaron Rodgers playing in the 2025 season?
Vegas. Could stick around in New York. Wear blue instead. I'm sure Antonio would have a blast with that.
Yeah. I haven't thought about the Giants. I have two. Vegas was one. The other one is the Tennessee Titans.
Sure.
We know they're open to trading that number 1 overall pick. And so the Jets have like the number 9 pick. And so the Titans would have to move that far back. And I wonder if there is some sort of trade package that they do as far as some pick swaps go, some other things. And maybe we see him playing in Tennessee next year. All right. And there have been a couple of players demanding trades. The first one is wide receiver for the Rams, Cooper Kupp. Well, he didn't demand a trade. His team said that they were open, that they were looking at trading him. Let me correct that. But Cooper Kupp likely going to get traded.
Just in case, from what I read, Cooper himself released a letter that said he wasn't going to be traded. So I think this one is pretty finite.
Yeah. Well, then players demanding trades. First, we have edge rusher Myles Garrett. Tato, what's the likelihood of Myles Garrett being traded, and where do you think he will go?
Yeah, I think Myles is definitely gone as well. I don't know if I read something from him too, maybe. Maybe I am actually more tapped into NFL than I thought, or maybe I'm making shit up. Who knows? Yeah, I think Myles will go. It's rough to say there. I wouldn't mind if he somehow became a Bear in a we definitely need pass rushing help. I think pairing him with Sweat would be pretty fantastic. Defensive line, not my highest priority. I definitely want to work on the offensive line if possible, but I would not say no to a Myles Garrett.
Yeah. And the fun thing with Myles Garrett is he pretty much makes any team a playoff contender. So, I mean, just about every single team should be calling Cleveland saying, this is what I have. What's it going to take? Another possible landing spot that I have would be Atlanta. This was a team that definitely did not play it to expectations. And one thing was their defense was lacking, especially in the edge rushing. When Matthew Judon is your number 1 sack leader, you have issues. Obviously, a lot of people thought that they were going to go edge rusher in the draft when they decided to draft Michael Penix instead. So huge need there. I think getting Myles Garrett would be a good pickup for them too. But again, you can make a case for 31 teams in the NFL why they're better with Myles Garrett. Actually, you can make a case for 32 teams. Let's be honest, because Cleveland could just say, no, we're not trading him. But then the other player demanding a trade is wide receiver of the 49ers, Deebo Samuel. So again, Tato, I ask, likelihood we see Deebo go somewhere else, and where do you think he'll go?
All right, this one I had not heard about. Gosh, yeah, it's just rough to say. I don't really know how the wide receiver situation is going to shake out. The Keenan Allen of it all is obviously curious for me, and I don't know who else is a free agent.
I mean, I do have a list of the top 100 free agents.
All right.
And there are a couple wide receivers on here. So yeah, I find the drama of the 49ers wide receiver room hysterical because it was Brandon Ayuk last year. Debo's had a couple of these trade me requests. And so it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to do. We probably will end up trading him because they're paying a lot of players right now. And so we'll see. And they did draft Ricky Pearsall, which everyone thought was going to be their replacement of Ayuk. And that could have actually been their replacement for Samuel. But we'll definitely see on that. And then I do have the list of the top 100 free agents for the 2025 offseason. We're not going to go through all 100. We'll probably go through like the top 5. So number 1, the best free agent available, former Cincinnati Bengal wide receiver T. Higgins. T was franchise tagged last season, and they did not come together for a deal. Which, I mean, let's be honest, Cincinnati has no money right now. Like, they can't even pay for a practice facility. You think they're going to pay for a number 2 wide receiver? Absolutely not. I think one interesting one with this one is we're having some news with wide receivers and trades. And so does that affect this one at all? But me personally, I think one very possible landing spot for T would be Vegas. I almost said Oakland. We talked about them possibly getting Aaron Rodgers. One thing is, I do not think that the Raiders are in rebuild mode, especially after hiring Pete Carroll, who pretty much left Seattle because they were going into rebuild mode. And so I do think that Vegas is going to make some pretty huge moves this offseason to try to get into win now. And that could very well be getting T. Higgins. Tato, any thoughts on where we might see T going?
Well, if T. Higgins is the top receiver, he's solid, but I definitely would say the 3 names mentioned previously are all better. So that could definitely get froggy with those guys being in contention. I guess we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, Vegas, like I said, the Keenan Allen of it all. Will the Bears grab another receiver, or is it just DJ and Rome if Keenan does leave? We'll see what happens. I think if Keenan's gone, the Bears obviously will have to fill that hole with someone that I don't think is currently on the roster. But will they go for a Cooper, or will they go for a T. Higgins, or will they go for a Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of moves there. Number 2, the second best free agent available, and this is all according to PFF. So if you're reading if you're watching this and you're like, man, T. Higgins is the number 1 available free agent, I'd really say, let's say Zach Bond. He's a much better player. This isn't my list. This is PFF's list. So don't hate me, hate PFF. And they did message me and they said, hey, Papa, any hate mail, please send to Matt Graham on Facebook. So if you have any issues with this, find Matt Graham on Facebook. He's PFF's complaint department. Number 2 would be Kansas City guard Trey Smith. I mean, obviously, watching the Super Bowl, we kind of knew that the offensive line for Kansas City was not that great, but they did have a couple good spots, mainly Creed Humphrey, and their guards weren't bad. So I don't think Trey Smith is a horrible option out there. Uh, he'll definitely do a pretty good job of bolstering up your offensive line. Me personally, I don't know what team is like dying for a guard, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't stay in Kansas City. A lot of talk about them drafting a tackle with the number 1 overall pick. So we'll have to see on that. But and offensive line is one of those where any available player can fit in any available scheme for the most part. So guard, center, tackle, there's always going to be a ton of movement there. But Tato, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I definitely want the Bears to sign this guy if possible. I think he definitely had a really solid season. I had been scoping out a couple of the offensive line free agents. He did have a good season protecting Patrick Mahomes up until that last moment, which hopefully knocks his price tag down a little bit. So hopefully the Bears have to pay less for him than if he had balled out and not allowed 12 sacks on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yes. But those weren't all his fault.
Of course
His
not.
tackles were a huge issue. All right, number 3, I have safety Javon Holland, formerly a Miami Dolphin. Did have he did have his career worst year this year, but he has been ranking in the top 5 as far as overall safeties, at least the first 2 years of his career. So very good safety here. Secondary again is one of those spots. Every team needs a good safety. Having a good safety will make any team better. I mean, if you look at the Eagles, their secondary was atrocious. And after they picked up CJ Gardner Johnson, you knew it's like this secondary is going to be a lot better. And then they had a couple of drafts, but he was the main player on that secondary. Led him in interceptions his first year with the team. Up there again this year, and just a huge vocal part of that team. So again, I don't think any team will go wrong not going for Holland. Or no team will go wrong going for Holland. He would definitely make any team better. So Tato, any thoughts on that one?
I don't know who really needs safety help. Obviously, any like depth in that backfield is always important. On a personal level, Bears secondary is one solid thing about the team. So I don't see him coming here. And like I said, I don't know who else needs the safety help. So
yeah,
good luck.
You just wish every free agent went to Chicago, don't you?
I'm just like that's the only objective perspective I can offer.
Oh,
like,
you're fine. All right, number 4, possibly the best wide receiver available in free agency, but not according to PFF. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Chris Godwin is the number 4 available free agent. Had a really bad leg injury that took him out for the final 5-6 games of this season, but always up there in yards. A great number 2 for Mike Evans. Again, any team that was going for T. Higgins, whoever doesn't get him is definitely going to be trying to is going to be making some moves for Chris Godwin. So Tato, he's already going to say that he hopes the Bears get him. The Raiders might be looking for him too.
Oh, I said hope one guy. I need like 4 offensive linemen, so I'm gonna need the Bears to sign like 12 of them and see who hits. And
yeah. Oh, but any other thoughts on Chris Godwin, Tato?
Nah.
No. Okay. All right, and number 5, the 5th best NFL free agent. We have edge rusher Khalil Mack, formerly of the Los Angeles Chargers. really had a resurgence in his career under John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh, whichever Harbaugh is in LA right now. Had a really good resurgence. I'm not quite ready to say he's going to be as good as Myles Garrett. So I do still think Myles Garrett is going to be the main person teams are going after. But Khalil Mack is still a beast. Again, if teams that aren't able to get Myles Garrett, teams that don't have the draft capital to go for him, gonna be calling Khalil. So Mateo said the Bears for Myles Garrett. Y'all don't have the draft capital for it. Maybe they go for Khalil instead. Bring him back. That would be fun. We saw the Eagles bringing back CJ and look.
Are you gonna sit here and say trade the fucking 9 for Myles Garrett, but not the 10?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think that's going down either which way. Khalil Mack, former Chicago Bear. I don't know, man. Maybe he could come back to Chicago. I would be fine with that. Linebacker, we could use one.
So it was funny because it didn't even click that he was a Bear. And I'm like, Tato's already been saying like he needs to go to the Bears. And I'm like, oh, wait, the Bears drafted him. So he'd be
Raiders.
Did the Raiders draft him?
He was a Raider, and then the Bears. It was a big trade.
Yeah, that's right. But still, he would be going back to the Bears. And then I'm just going to say 6 through 10 as far as the available free agents go. At number 6, we have former Jets cornerback DJ Reed. Number 7, wide receiver Amari Cooper, formerly of the Bills. Baltimore Ravens tackle Ronnie Stanley. Number 9, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold. And then number 10, Philadelphia Eagles edge rusher Josh Sweat. That is just the top 10. There's still a ton of options out there, quite a bit of edge rushers, quite a bit of receivers. I think it's going to be a fun offseason. Not quite as fun as day one of last year when you had DeAndre Swift and Saquon Barkley signing out of nowhere. Kirk Cousins, a big name there too. But we'll have quite a bit of fun this offseason. We'll be here to talk about it. We'll be here to talk about the draft. It's funny. We just make this announcement about TMG Entertainment. It's coming back and it's going to be more regular right before the NFL season ends, which is the whole thing we've been talking about for almost a year. But definitely we won't be every week after this. I will try to do something monthly, every other month. And again, we'll do kind of major news, breaking down stuff like that. But Tato, any final thoughts, final words before we head out?
Be excellent to each other.
Yes, that is a good final thought. I will take that as a final thought. Because I do have an outro, unlike some people, please like us, subscribe, leave a comment. What free agent are you most looking forward to your team signing? Follow us on Facebook. Follow Lights Out Trivia on Facebook and YouTube. And make smart choices. Or don't. I don't care. Not your dad. But I could be your papa.